Hare Krishna. Again, welcome to our evening katha. We hope you're all safe. We just got news that Brajahari Prabhu, the wonderful temple president of Rasbihari Mandir in Juhu, is back from the hospital. He's recuperating in the temple now. So we thank you for all your prayers and ask you to continue praying that he could recover completely. So today is Ekadasi, and we're going to go to Gokul. And since it is Ekadasi, there's a very nice song that we like to sing on Ekadasi. So we'll sing that song today, Shuddha Bhakata. Shuddha Bhakata Charana Renu Bhajana Anukula. Shuddha Bhakata Charana Renu Bhajana Anukula. Bhakata Seva Paramasiri Prema Latikara Mula. Bhakata Seva Paramasiri Prema Latikara Mula. Madhavatiti Bhakti Janani Jatane Palana Kori. Krishna Basati Basati Boli Parama Adare Bori. Gora Amara Jesabastani Korala Brahmana Range. Sesabastani Herivo Ami Pranaye Bhakata Sange. Sesabastani Herivo Ami Pranaye Bhakata Sange. Mridanga Bhajya Shunite Mana Abasara Sadayate. Mridanga Bhajya Sunite Mana Abasara Sadayate. Gaura Bihita Kirtana Suni Anande Hridaya Nache. Gaura Bihita Kirtana Suni Anande Hridaya Nache. Jugala Murti Dekiya Mora Parama Ananda Hoya. Jugala Murti Dekiya Mora Parama Ananda Hoya. Prasada Seva Korite Hoya Sakale Prapancha Jaya. Prasada Seva Korite Hoya Sakala Prapancha Jaya. Jedina Grihe Bhajana Deki Grihete Goloka Bhaya. Jedina Grihe Bhakata Deki Grihete Goloka Bhaya. Charana Siddhu Dekiya Ganga Sukhana Sima Paya. Charana Siddhu Dekiya Ganga Sukhana Paya Saima Paya. Tulasi Deki Juraya Prana Madhava Toshani Jai. Tulasi Deki Jataya Prana Madhava Toshani Jani. Gaura Priya Sakha Sevani Jivana Sartaka Sani. Gaura Priya Sakha Sevani Jivana Sartaka Mani. Bhakati Vinoda Krishna Bhajani Anukula Payaja. Bhakati Vinoda Krishna Bhajani Banukula Payaja. Pratidivase Paramasuke Swikara Koroyeta. Pratidivase Paramasuke Swikara Koroyeta. Tuda Bhakata Charana Renu Bhajana Anukula. Shuddha Bhakata Charana Renu Bhajana Anukula. Bhakata Seva Paramasiri Prema Latikara Mula. Bhakata Seva Paramasiri Prema Latikara Mula. Kadasi Tati Ki Jai. So again, we welcome you to our evening katha on this Apara Ekadasi evening. We hope you're all following Ekadasi very nicely. It's very powerful for pleasing the Lord, and very simple. If you're not following, you can learn from the devotees in your area how to follow. We don't say you fast completely. You just no beans and grains. You take falahar prasad. Very simple but very powerful practice. So today we're going to Gokul. We were on a part of Gokul a couple of weeks ago, but now we're going to go straight into Gokul. And again, we mentioned that Brajahari now is back from the hospital, but continue your prayers for him. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurun Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Sri Chaitanya Manubhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamaya Tisabrantikam Aradana Srinandantai Vridamya Che Puna Puna Srimad Rupa Padam Bhujo Dulisyam Janma Janmani Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatrubhyascha kripa sindhuvevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So on the opposite side of the Jamuna from Vrindavan and Mathura, there's a very beautiful place called Gokul Mahavan, 2 names. Actually in Srimad Bhagavatam it says Brihadvan, but we know Brihad and Maha all mean the same thing, large. So it's a very large forest. So Nanda Maharaj had his palace there. It's also, we saw one Churasi Kamba in Kamivan. This is the original Churasi Kamba. And Churasi means 84. They say by circumambulating these 84 pillars, you become free from taking birth again in the 84 lakh material species. And also the Pandas there tell that you'll never be able to count 84. You try to count them all, sometimes you'll get 85, sometimes you'll get 82, sometimes you'll get 83, but you'll never be able to count 84. And they have very interesting system there. They let one group in at a time. So we have to stand there at the doorway and wait while they do their Sankirtan pitch. Then finally we get to come inside, and there's this, on top of the hill there's this big temple. And they have very large, stout deities of Nanda and Yasoda, white marble. Behind them with his hand giving Ashirvad is Baladev, with his left hand holding his Baruni Patra. And down below there's a little Jula, and have little Bouncy Wali Krishna, little tiny deity like this. And they never let us speak there. They have their microphone, they have their whole Sankirtan pitch that they do for this temple. And then they show you there's 4 columns somewhere that are, one is Satyug, one is Tretayug, one is Dwapar Yug, and one is Kali Yug. They're all in one spot. The very back of the temple, they have beautiful, very moti, fat, lovely fat deity of Yasoda churning butter, a big butter churning pot. And you're harassed all as you walk all around this temple. So this is, Padmalochan told me, there's a replica, because you'll see that it's quite low, and we understood in Dwapar Yug people were very big. So he said this is a replica of that original temple that was there. And this is where the Krishna's Janmastami Janam, his birth took place. Some other day we'll tell that pastime, we'll take all the whole time we have. So we'll tell that some other day. But here many wonderful pastimes took place. But for a minute we'll digress, because just down there's a nice little trail, winding trail that goes up to the temple with all beautiful little dioramas on each side of the road. And one of those temples is the Bhajan Kutir of Sanatana Goswami. Now they call it Patala Devi Mandir, and they have a little Devi temple. You go way down the stairs. But as far as we Gaudiya Vaishnavas are concerned, down in this place is where Sanatana Goswami was doing his bhajan, because underneath the ground is very cool. Just like today it went up to 41, and it's going up higher the rest of this week. So Sanatana Goswami used to do his bhajan there. And the interesting story about this place was that one time Jagadananda, he finally got permission from Mahaprabhu to come to Vrindavan. But Mahaprabhu told him, you stay with Sanatana Goswami, you see the Braj coast with him. Very strictly he said, you see with him. So Sanatana Goswami, he would always do madhu curry. But Jagadananda wasn't used to eating a wheat-based diet, so he would always go to some nearby temple or some Brahman's house and cook. But one day he invited Sanatana Goswami to come take prasad. So Sanatana Goswami came, he had some saffron cloth wrapped around his head. As soon as Jagadananda saw this, he thought this must be some Mahaprasad from Sriman Mahaprabhu. So he asked Sanatana about it. He said, oh, this belongs to Mukunda, one brahmachari named Mukunda Saraswati, who was a Mayavadi. Immediately, Jagadananda became angry. He took the rice pot and was ready to hit Sanatana Goswami. How you're the most dear to Sriman Mahaprabhu. How can you possibly wear someone else's cloth? He was ready to hit. And then Sanatana Goswami says, now my purpose is fulfilled. I've heard about your extreme love for Mahaprabhu. Now my purpose is fulfilled. I've been able to see this extreme love. And he took that cloth and threw it away. So this is an interesting story here. So we know, of course, we already discussed the first Leela of Gokul after Jamashtami is, of course, Putana came. We discussed that a couple of weeks ago. Then, so the next demon that came was Sakatasura. Because one time, Krishna was trying to roll over in his bed, because he was just 3 months old. And he was stretching his body in a funny way, trying to roll over. So then Mother Yasoda decided to have special function called Uttan, the first time the child tries to get up. So she called all the Brahmins, they did fire yagya, they chanted Vedic mantras, and Mother Yasoda was holding Krishna, and then she saw that Krishna was getting tired. His eyes were blinking and nodding out. So she lay down with him for a while till he was sound asleep, because she was busy, so many Brahmins and guests are there. So there was one hand cart in the corner of the courtyard, and it was underneath was very shady, and the hand cart was filled with all types of metal utensils. So she put him in the shade of the hand cart because she was busy tending to all her guests and the Brahmins. So the festival went on very nicely, and she gave in charity to all the Brahmins. Meanwhile, Krishna woke up, and actually he understood that there was one demon who was in the form of a ghost. He had entered into that cart, because he had no body. He'd entered into the cart. So hand cart means Sakata. So Krishna, he woke up, he's just 3-month-old baby, so naturally baby wakes up, first thing they want to do is drink milk. And no mother was there. Ma Yasoda wasn't there, so he began to cry, and he kicked his feet up in the air. Now Krishna's feet, Bhagavatam describes, just as soft as freshly grown leaves. Just as soft as freshly grown leaves. But still, he kicked that wheel of that cart, the axle broke apart from the wheel, the spokes broke, the cart came crashing down, all the metal utensils made a huge sound, and Mother Yasoda came running. She saw her Lala was safe. She picked him up and began to ask all the Brahmins to chant, there must be some evil planet has affected him. She asked all the Brahmins to chant so many mantras, and she remembered Lord Narayan. Because in Braj, nobody knows that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even above Lord Narayan. But she was remembering Lord Narayan and asked all the priests to, in this way that Sakatasura was killed. And actually, Garga Samhita describes that he was a son of Hiranyakashipu named Utkacha. And he was a giant. One day he went into the ashram, a Lomasa Muni, and he began to break down all the trees in his garden. So Lomasa Muni became very upset, and he cursed him that you will become a ghost. And immediately his giant body fell down, and he dead, and he was left in the body of a ghost. Then he begged at the feet of the rishi. The rishi was very kind to him, said, all right, you'll take this body until you are touched by the foot of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. So sometimes the curses of these rishis are actually blessings in disguise. So when Krishna kicked him, he was kicked out of his ghost body and liberated from this horrible condition. So Bhagavatam doesn't describe what time, but it just says ekada, one day. Mother Yasoda was in the courtyard playing with Krishna. And just like we do with little babies, we throw them in the air and catch them. And Krishna was just laughing and laughing, just like little babies do. And she was throwing him up in the air. And Kamsa sent another demon named Trinarvat, who was a big whirlwind demon. So Krishna knew this Trinarvat was coming and he'll create a big havoc. So he wanted Mother Yasoda to be inside the house because a big hurricane is coming. So suddenly Krishna became so heavy, Mother Yasoda tried to throw him and catch him, and she was feeling, oh, he's so heavy. And then Krishna expanded his Yogamaya potency. She set him down. She thought, oh, maybe some ghost or something is attacking him, that he became so heavy. And she left him outside the house, which we can't even imagine. Mother Yasoda never lets Krishna out of her sight. But Krishna expanded his Yogamaya potency, and she left him out on the courtyard and went inside the house to call the Brahmins to chant mantras of Lord Narayan's name, and she had many things to do. Then this Trinarvat came. Just like this month and last month, we've been seeing these big dust storms come, and there's just dust everywhere. And if you don't shut your doors and windows, then your whole house is just filled with dust. Every time we have to clean everything. So dust, it gets inside if you stay outside, it gets inside your eyes, it gets between your teeth. So like that, suddenly, accompanied by big black clouds, suddenly whole of Braj became dark, and this wind and dust and grains and sand and pieces of dry grass began blowing, and nobody could see, and Mother Yasoda couldn't see her Lala. And then Trinarvat came, and he grabbed Lala now he'd just been as heavy as a mountain, and Mother Yasoda put him down. Now suddenly he became light as a feather, and Trinarvata dragged him up into the sky. Actually, Krishna liked it when Mother Yasoda was throwing him up, so he wanted to go higher. So he took a ride with Trinarvata to go high in the sky. And suddenly, as soon as the dust and things cleared, then Mother Yasoda ran to the courtyard and she couldn't see her Lala. She began to cry, and all the gopis came, and all the gopis were crying. Everybody's, where's Lala? Where's Krishna? Oh, Kana, where are you? They were all crying. And Krishna was way up in the sky having a good time. Then he again expanded his potency, became very heavy. And he grabbed onto the neck of that demon, that Trinarvat demon. And Trinarvat was trying to throw him away, but he couldn't throw him. He was becoming heavier and heavier. He had the idea that he was going to drop him, but now he can't even get free from his clutches. And Krishna was strangling him. And finally he lost his consciousness. And he fell down, it's described, he fell on a huge slab of rock with Krishna on top of him. And his body was completely smashed. As described, all his joints were dislocated. And then all the gopis came running and they grabbed Krishna off the top of this demon. And they began to call all the Brahmins to chant so many mantras. And everybody was praying to Lord Narayan because they couldn't understand. They thought somehow Lord Narayan always takes care of this child. So then Garga Samhita describes that there was one king named Sahasra Aksha, who was the king of Pandudesh. And one time he was enjoying with 1,000 beautiful girls. And Durvas Muni came. And we know Durvas Muni, he gets very upset. So he was having a good time, so he didn't pay any respect to Durvas Rishi. So Durvasa Rishi cursed him that you'll become a demon. So then he fell at the feet, because actually he was a saintly king. So Durvasa Rishi accepted he was a saintly king. He said, when you are touched by the Lord, then you'll be free from this demon body. So that was his. So then.
Are you going to talk about who they represent?
Hmm?
Who these demons are representing?
No, not today. Didn't study that. So then just down then after that, Mother Yasoda was Another day, Mother Yasoda, just after this Trinarvata demon, she was holding her little Lala in her lap. And Lala suddenly yawned. Just like little babies do, and they open their mouth wide. And Mother Yasoda saw the whole universe. This is another time that Mother Yasoda saw the universe, but not as much as we're going to get to later. She saw the whole universe within her child's mouth, and she became filled with worry. Then Krishna again expanded his Yogamaya potency, and she forgot about all these things. So shortly after seeing the universal form in Krishna's mouth, one day Vasudeva in Mathura, he sent Garga Rishi to Gokul to see, because he wanted to get some information, because he thinks that they're his sons, Krishna and Balaram, especially Krishna. So Garga Rishi appeared, and Nanda Baba was so happy. He immediately fell down and offered him obeisances, offered him a proper welcome, and bathed his lotus feet. And he said, "It is our great fortune, because we householders, we're very lazy about spiritual life, and you great souls like this wander around. You have no purpose other than giving benediction. Otherwise you can stay where you are and do your things. But just to save us, you come to our houses on the pretext of begging to give us some spiritual instruction." And he said, "Now that you're here, and I know you're a great Jyotish." You know Jyotish? Who studied Jyoti, the light from the stars, astrologer. He said, "I would like you to perform the name-giving ceremony of Krishna and Balaram." So Garga Rishi was very wise. He said, "Actually, I'm known as the Purohit, the priest of the Yadu dynasty. If I perform it openly, Kans will get some idea. Kans knows somewhere Krishna is there, the eighth child is waiting to kill him. And if I do this openly, then Kans will get the idea that maybe this is Vasudeva's son and not Nanda's son. And he will try to kill Krishna in many ways." But still Nanda Maharaj insisted, "Anyway, you're here, we'll do it secretly. We'll go to the cowshed." Other day we went to Ukal Bandhan. Just across the street from Ukal Bandhan is the cowshed of Nanda Maharaj. So in the cowshed, Garga Muni performed the name-giving ceremonies. And he took this son of Mother Rohini, and he said he will give great pleasure to his family members, so his name will be Rama. He will be famous for his strength. He will also be known as Balabhadra. And he will unite both the families from both sides of the river, so he will be known as Sankarshan, because he attracted both families together, he united them. Then he started to study Krishna's chart. He said, this Krishna, he has had many, many incarnations before. Sometimes white, sometimes red, sometimes yellow, he mentions. Actually, he's mentioning it before it happened, but we know this is the indication of Sriman Mahaprabhu, who's the golden avatar of love. He predicted Mahaprabhu's incarnation. And in each incarnation, he saved the people from so many calamities. And in fact, he said he has so many qualities. I'm seeing this chart, I'm totally amazed. He's practically on the level of Lord Narayan himself. You should be very careful and raise this child very cautiously, because he has so many qualities I can't imagine I'm seeing in this chart. In this way, Garga Rishi blessed the two boys, Krishna and Balaram. And Nanda Maharaj awarded him very nice, gave in charity very nicely to Garga Rishi, who returned to Mathura to tell Vasudeva that everything is safe and sound in Braj. So shortly after this, Krishna and Balaram began crawling and trying to take their first steps together. And they would crawl through the mud and the cow urine, and their bodies would become smeared, and their mothers would pick them up and suckle them, and it looked very beautiful. Bhagavatam says it looked very beautiful, where they were all smeared with like this. And sometimes they would be crawling around and they would hear ankle bells. And they would crawl over, and because they were trying to learn to walk, so they would grab onto the legs of whosever ankle bells it was and stand up. And then they would look up and see, it's not Mother Yasoda or Mother Rohini. And they would cry, they would run immediately, crawl, let go and crawl back to their mothers, their prospective mothers, like this. Then, sometimes they would grab hold of the tail of the calves. The calves would be frightened that somebody's grabbed their tail, and they would be dragged through all the mud and cow urine in the courtyard. And all the gopis would laugh to see all this. And they would the gopis were completely immersed in meditating on Krishna, all these wonderful things. Krishna trying to take his first step, trying to say his first words. Come on, say Mata, ma. Say Mata, Mata. And the gopis were just plunged in the ocean of ecstasy, seeing Krishna trying to say his few words and take his first steps. Finally, Krishna and Balaram, they learned to walk. Now they drove their mothers crazy. As before it was easy to keep track of them. Now they're running here and there. Now they learn to walk, they're running here and there. And they're just creating havoc. They will go to the neighbors' houses and set loose all the calves, so the calves will drink the milk, and the master of the houses will become very upset. But as soon as the gopis will come to scold them, they'll see the beautiful faces of Krishna and Balaram and just fall in ecstasy. And then they began their butter stealing pastimes. Krishna's very famous as Makan Chor. So all the older gopis would come to complain to Mother Yasoda that your Lala, your two boys are coming in, stealing our butter. So Mother Yasoda, then why don't you keep it safe? Tie it from the rafters. We do, but somehow or other they crawl on top of their friends, or they get the ukal and they climb up and get it anyway. And then they take the butter and they go outside and they eat the butter and they feed it to the monkeys. And they feed so much to the monkeys just can't eat anymore. And when we come to chastise them, they offer some butter to the monkeys. Say, look, your butter is useless. Even the monkeys don't want your butter. He said, then Mother Yasoda, then why don't you keep it in the dark? We do keep it in the dark, but these boys, they have some sort of effulgent they're able to see even in the dark. Sometimes Krishna would get caught. He would go to somebody's house and get caught. And that gopi would say, you're a thief. And then he'd look, you're not my Mother Yasoda? Oh, this isn't my house? I thought I was in my house. Sorry. And that gopi would be charmed by Krishna's face. Another time, another gopi caught him and he said, you're a thief. What are you doing? He said, no, I was chasing my calf, and he ran and he jumped inside the pot. Oh, Lala, your calf jumped inside the butter pot? And Krishna would pull out a little toy calf. So see, he's inside, see. Like this, Krishna and Balaram were giving pleasure to the cowherd women. And sometimes if they couldn't find butter, then they would pinch the babies and make them cry, and then go to the kitchen and pass stool and urine. I can remember one time we were reading these pastimes in Krishna book in Prabhupada's garden in Los Angeles. And they talked about Krishna and Balaram passing stool and urine on the kitchen floor. And Prabhupada just laughed. Such one of those, when Prabhupada laughed, it was like a million suns rising in the sky. And Prabhupada said, this is Krishna. He just shook his head so sweetly, this is Krishna. So one time, all the gopis got together and they came to Mother Yasoda. And they began to complain that Krishna was stealing their butter, Krishna and Balaram stealing their buttermilk and yogurt. So Mother Yasoda was so tired of hearing this complaint, and she said, Ari Sakya, what do you think? In our house we don't have buttermilk and yogurt? My Patidev, Nanda Baba, He has 9 lakhs of cows. Doodh, dahi, makhan, ghee, ye sab nadi ke barabar hamare ghar par beti rehti hai. These things are flowing in our house like river. Why he'll go to someone else's house to steal? Huh? You have some praman, you have some evidence, zavut. Huh? And the gopi said, Ari Sakhi, you want evidence? All right, we'll bring your lala, muh mein makhan and hat mein makhan. Butter on the mouth and butter on the hand. Huh? So the gopis, they took the best milk in Braj from Krishna's favorite cow, Padma Gandha, whose milk is just as fragrant as a lotus flower. And they turned that milk into yogurt and prrr, 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 with their bangles going ching, ching. They churned it into nice, soft, fresh butter. And then they put that butter in a pot, big clay pot, and all around the mouth of the pot they put little tiny bells. Anybody will shake this pot, then the bells will ring. Then they tied it to the rafters, and they put little bells all along the rope. Anybody tries to untie this rope, then all the bells will ring. Then they thought this guy is very clever. He may try to use the ukal. So they put little bells all over the ukal. If somebody pulls it underneath the pot, the bells will ring. This guy is a very devious fellow. He may try to come by the window. So all around the window they put tiny little bells. And then all the gopis hid themselves. Now Krishna's got a special radar to find out where there's soft, fresh, sweet butter. So he came to the place. Beep, 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 beep. So then Krishna looked at the whole scene. All around the window is bells. All around the ukal there's bells. On the rope there's bells. On the mouth of the pot there's bells. And Krishna said, Are, who do these Sakhis think I am? Who do these gopis think I am? By my will, millions of universes are created. Simply by my desire, they're all destroyed. What are these tiny bells? Who do they think I am anyway? So Krishna then looked at all the bells. He said, all right, don't ring. So then Krishna and all the cowboys climbed through the window. Not a single bell rang. He pulled the ukal underneath the pot. Not a single bell rang. He climbed up. He untied the rope. Not a single bell rang. He brought that pot down, put the mouth towards him. Not a single bell rang. He put his hand inside and began to eat all that butter. And every bell in the room began to ring. And immediately all the gopis jumped out and said, ha! Now we got praman, now we have zabut, evidence. Muh mein makhan and hat mein makhan. Butter on the mouth, butter on the hand. And Krishna became very upset. Are? I told you not to ring? You don't respect my word? Meri baat nahi manti? Kya baat? Meri baat nahi manti? You don't respect my word? And all the bells said, Are Maharaj, which word should we accept? You said not to ring, but in Shastra it says when you give Gopal Bhog, then you have to ring the bell. So this way we hope all of you offer your food to Krishna. And when you offer the food, you have to ring the bell. Just like today we're offering Kalahar to Krishna. So if you don't know how to offer, you can, as soon as lockdown is over, you can go to your nearest temple and the older devotees can teach you how to offer your food, and you always ring the bell. So then this brings us to Brahmandagat. Just after Ukal Bandhan, actually, right across the street from Ukal Bandhan, there's Nandakup. We all know about the Andakup, the deep dark well of household life. This is Nandakup. And Maharaj Nanda called all the 7 seas into this well. There's a little hill, you go up the hill, there's Nanda Maharaj Goshal on the right side, cowshed, and on the left side is this big well. And Nanda Maharaj used to get free from all different types of offenses and sins by bathing in this water. So this is Nandakup. Then we go to way down the road, and we see the road sort of comes down like this. The Brishvasis told me, because we already discussed this before, that that's where Putana fell. The road comes down like that. Then it goes back up, and we come to Brahmandagat. And Brahmandagat, now the government is fixing up beautiful ghats are there. They're fixing it all up, nice tile floors, and the temple has been fixed up very nicely. There's a beautiful temple there, small temple, and the deity is Brahmanda Bihari. Before there was a little bit larger deity, and the pujari used to put little saffron and sandalwood spirals on his cheeks. He was so cute. But somebody was careless and that deity was broken. Now there's a small deity, but they can't decorate it so nicely as that. But this is Brahman Bihari. And then there's 3 or 4 small Laddu Gopals and 3 great big large red Laddu Gopals. And on the bottom there's several very interesting Shalagram Shilas. And because this place is run by sadhus from Ramananda Sampradaya, they have bright yellow Ramanandi tilak. And there's a beautiful Singhasan. In the Singhasan you see all the little cowherd boys. They have cowherd boys painted on the Singhasan, and they're all pointing at Krishna. Because what happened was Baldao and some of his friends, they went to Mother Yasoda and they told Krishna's eating clay. So Mother Yasoda came there with Baldao and his friends and told Lala that, Lala, why are you eating clay? He said, I didn't eat in any clay. May nehi makan na kayo. We can take it that may nehi makan kayo or may nehi makan kayo.
Clay, mitti.
Excuse me, miti. May nehi miti kayo. Senior moment. May nehi miti kayo. Definitely ate clay. Or we could take it may nehi miti kayo. I didn't eat in any clay. Then why Baldao and all his friends are complaining against you? He said, today their side lost the game. We were playing games, their side lost. So Balaram has bribed them with so many sweets to complain against me to get me in trouble with you. Achalala, is it? If you didn't eat in any clay, then open your mouth. So Krishna opened his mouth, and Mother Yasoda looked inside, and she saw the Brahman. Brahman means the universe. She saw the stars, the moon, Venus, Earth, Jupiter, Mars, Mercury, Uranus, all the stars were there, the senses, the controller of the senses, the object of the senses, the earth, air, sky, fire, water, ether, everything she saw within Krishna's mouth. Even she saw herself inside Krishna's mouth. Even she's looking inside Krishna's mouth, she saw Krishna sitting in Krishna's mouth, sitting in her lap inside Krishna's mouth and drinking milk. And she began to think, oh my goodness, what is all this? And she began to think that, what is going on? And she became completely full of worry. Worry means chinta. So the next place down, a little kilometer away, is a beautiful ghat called Chinta Haran Ghat. So Chinta, of course, means worry. And Haran means to take away. So that's a very beautiful natural place. Mother Yasoda went there, and Krishna expanded his Yogamaya potency, and she forgot all the things that she saw in Krishna's mouth, and just accepted Krishna as her little Lala, because she doesn't like to see Krishna in any other way than her little son. She doesn't like to see him in Aishwarya Bhav. So there's so many pastimes we could just go on and on and on. But our time is running on, so we'll put our voice to rest. And we want to tell you that last night we recorded a little scene for the devotees in Bangalore, and we recorded it, so we uploaded it to my page. So if those who are interested in hearing some katha in Hindi, we uploaded a little katha in Hindi on our page, so you can go there and read that.
About chanting.
All about chanting the holy name. So how many people are here today?
Right now showing 94. 94.
94. Okay. We thank you so much tomorrow is the disappearance day? Anyway, it's something in Vrindavan Das Thakur. Appearance day of Vrindavan Das Thakur. So we'll continue with some more Gokul pastimes, and we'll talk about Vrindavan Das Thakur. Then again, we're going to take a break for a couple of days. So tomorrow, you come here at 6 o'clock, we'll be here, and we'll hear some more wonderful pastimes. And we hope you all remain safe. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.